So thanks for joining us this morning or this evening
or the middle of the day.
Middle of the day.
Wherever you are, we're here today to talk about FME 2014, which just seconds ago became available for download. Of course, beta people have had it for weeks, if not months.
That's right.
But the website will be live, and all the resources and everything else have just gone into place. I'm sure the marketing team is giving me a thumbs up here.
So that's a good. I guess it made it up.
I guess so. So we're going to spend the next hour approximately talking all about all the great stuff in FME 2014. There's so much that we can only skim along at the surface, a pretty high level this morning.
That's right. And then we have 2 deep dive webinars that are coming up, one at the end of this month and then one the first week of February for more information. Okay.
Yes.
So here we are. So I'm Don Murray. I'm one of the co-founders of SAFE, and I'm in the guy in the top hat there. Underneath that hat is a lot of hair, I got to tell you.
And I've got the steampunk goggles on.
Yeah.
This is Don and I as we're about to travel around the world in 80 days in a balloon, I think. So anyway, we're pleased to be able to unveil all the hard work of this great team at SAFE here this morning for you.
Absolutely. And so on the agenda this morning, we're going to look at just some of the highlights of FME. Yeah, and then there's Mark Stokes as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, the bell has tolled.
Okay.
So a few words about SAFE.
Yep.
So that's who we are. We're SAFE Software. We for some reason have this lizard as our thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's about 100 of us. And we have partners worldwide selling FME, bringing FME. So no matter where you are in the world, there's a partner who can help you. And we say we're from Vancouver, but actually we're located in sunny Surrey, BC.
That's right.
And I mean, we say there's 10,000 organizations rely on FME, but it's probably a lot higher than that. When you think about the ArcGIS,
yes.
Data interoperability extension and things like that.
The bell is still ringing.
I know. No.
So we're going to go to the polls here early this morning to just get a sense of what everybody is doing with FME. So let's take a look. What version of FME are you using currently?
Okay.
So we'll see how that happens. Are we getting some results in?
We are. About 70% of the people are using 2013. About 8% are already using 2014.
Wow.
And 2012 is about 15%. About 5% are 2011 or older, and 8% are not using FME at all.
Well, let's close that then and show the results to everyone. Mm-hmm. And so there you have it, FME 2013 by a landslide.
It really is.
That's great to see. That was a great release, really. And,
it was.
And actually, if you followed us through all the service packs, it was really quite impressive what the team was managed to put into that. By the end. So very, very significant technology in there.
Yeah. Okay, so now back to the slides. And they're probably going to ding again. Nope. Okay, so if you're new to FME, then there's a number of places where you can get started. First, you can get your bearings at FMEsafe.com/FME getting started. And also, we have weekly overview webinars, so you can check into.
Because today we're not going to do too much, but in terms of the depth of FME. But if you wanted to get introduced to it, then for sure tune in, I think, on Thursdays, right?
That's right. That's right.
But before we got into this, Don and I thought we should spend just a couple of seconds talking about why we even do this.
Yeah. And so really, there's just a growing number of applications out there. When we look on the web, it's just exploding.
Yeah. And we just hated to see all that effort being wasted and information being lost because information couldn't flow. And so we've been at the task of trying to keep that information flowing and moving and taking the effort out of that so that the effort can be spent instead on using the data. That we basically, the last point there, we think it's better to spend your time making decisions and fighting with data. And so that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. Okay, so what we do, you go to our website and you'll see that now we talk about connect, transform, and automate. And again, this whole connection is where is the data. For years we've talked about formats. More and more now we're talking about web systems or applications, connecting directly to applications and web systems. And so now we're replacing formats really with this whole term of connect. And when you think about traditional CAD GIS, we're still connecting to those applications or that data. Transformation, of course, has been what we've always done.
Yeah.
And indeed, we could have put the word manipulate there.
Yeah.
And that's the M in FME. And last but not least, of course, with our environment, you author this workflow once, and then you just use it over and over. It could be in batch, or it could be on server.
Could be hands-free, scheduled, these sorts of things. So what we're all about is, as we say here, creating harmony between data and applications so that people can just use their information wherever and however they want to use it.
So now we're going to look at at each of these in okay, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, each of these separately, and so now we're going to go to another poll here
to find out what kind of things are you wanting to connect.
Okay, so this is poll part A, and so what sort of systems are you?
These correspond to things in that bubble. What kind of data is it that you work with? And you can choose more than one.
Absolutely.
And if you don't see your option on the list, fear not, because there's a second part of the poll coming up pretty soon.
That's right.
And so we have, I think, a total of 10 different types of data that we work with. We started with CAD and GIS way back, still do that, and try to do a very good job of it. Somewhere in there added rasters, databases, cloud-based formats. So we'll close this one, and we'll share those results just so people can see the first half of those. And look at a quarter of them doing 3D stuff.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
That is, actually.
Cloud, too. Wow.
So
and databases. I mean, everybody's using databases, so that's good to see. So FME 2014, we have some good stuff on the database front. Some very good stuff.
More options there. So let's go to the second part of the poll, and the people pick up the other set of choices. So
so which of these do you think is my favorite choice, Dale? Any guesses there?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, that last one maybe.
Last one, but it's oh, okay.
Oh, there. See, am I manipulating the poll?
Sympathy votes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Non-spatial, I suspect, a lot of folks with CSV. I noticed we're looking at our format stats, and CSV is a real contender. So we're looking at doing kind of a tournament of formats later this year, and so I shouldn't have sort of revealed that CSV should be considered a favorite. So anyway, let's take a look there. Well, not surprising, 92% would call themselves GIS.
And next was non-spatial, and really XML could fall into that, but people can vote twice, so there we go.
You vote early and vote often. That's what we say.
That's right. And point cloud. So that's
so basically all those types of data. So what I would take from that is that our customers use basically all the things we do in FME. So we didn't ask if they wanted to do video.
No.
And if any of you would want to do video, please chat that in, and we'll note that. So
so we're always adding more formats, more systems. And so now in this slide we've replaced the word formats with systems, but it's all the same thing. And so now we're about 325.
Yes, that number is always controversial.
It is. It is.
If anything, it understates the true variety.
It really
does. Quite a big jump, 22 new formats compared to last. And we're not really anxious for the world to create more formats, but it just does on us.
That's right. That's right.
So a few of the highlights on the format side.
Yeah. So AIXM, that's a big XML-based formats, and CBEDML and Inspire. That whole top line is GML and XML.
Didn't you? You were up in the wee hours doing an Inspire webinar.
We did. It was 1 a.m. our time last week. And it was great.
And at least one safe staffer fell asleep during it and woke up hours later.
That's right. She was she tuned in with and woke up with her laptop on her lap and sore neck.
The recording of that is online for anybody that does suffer from insomnia.
That's right. And we are going to have a follow up to that with a few partners. That are going to show what they've done.
Don and I always love the Surfer.
The
Golden Surfer.
Reminds us of Fantastic Four movie.
That's right. He's back. Google Maps Engine, ArcGIS Online as formats are a big deal. We'll look at those a bit more. Google WebP, kind of.
So that's a raster format.
Google went and decided they could do a better job of raster, and so they made their own format. And there's a new SketchUp, which is very good as well.
That's great. And of course Revit. One of the big stories of this release is Revit.
Yes.
And
so the way that works is that we have a plug-in into Revit that we're going to show a video here in just a moment. And here it comes. So you can see the plug-in in Revit, and then it goes and we have a building in there. We go to our plug-in and we hit the button, and then up comes the option to export it for FME. So we can't read Revit directly in FME.
But okay, so you export it first, and then you have the file. You take it over to.
That's right. So we dump basically all the goodness that is Revit. There you can see it processing along and dumping out, and then we can take that thing over into FME and take a peek at it. So there we go. That's how the Revit thing works.
Okay.
Don, do you want to show us that model? Do you have
Sure.
that handy?
I do.
So let's
we go over
let's see.
here.
Yeah, there he goes.
Okay, so we'll go over here to Revit. Come on.
Nothing as comforting as a Windows machine staring
That's
us in
right,
the
that's
eyeballs.
right.
Ooh, there was a MapNick demo. That might be foreshadowing.
That might be. So which one do you want me to open there? Just run this, fill spaces, right?
Yes. That's right. So this is an example from CEI. That's an architectural firm here in British Columbia, where my brother-in-law happens to be the marketing guy. So that's
Is that
kind of
right?
handy. Yes.
Oh, well, that's kind of good.
And so that gives us an in, and they provided us a couple of their models. This is nothing, actually, landfill is pretty exciting when it comes to building models.
Absolutely.
And so
absolutely.
what we're doing in this example is we're just going and extracting the what's called the spaces.
Yeah.
And so
And
if you
that's,
just go to rotate that around, hey, we're tracking in near real time
That's
now.
interesting. PowerPoint was slow.
But 3D,
But 3D manipulation is fast.
That's
so there
right.
you go.
So if you go to your display control,
Yeah.
we should see that it's there's all the spaces. Turn them all off, and I think we should look at the men's washroom. It's always exciting to see
And
what
I'm
that is.
interested. There's men's dirty change and clean change. Have you come to work with dirty clothes?
And then you put on your clean clothes before you go into the landfill.
There you go.
So there's a bigger room
Yeah.
for the clean clothes than the
Yeah.
dirty clothes, it looks
That's
like.
right. That's right.
But and there's a wash-up place and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the things that GIS people want to get out of a Revit model is information about the spaces in the building,
That's
and
right.
that's just one of these examples. What we can do is when we bring up the Revit is pick different models or
Yes,
views,
Yes.
and so we'll just take a quick peek at that. Go ahead and hit the parameters
Yeah. There we go.
so folks can see. This is a new technology that we developed this year to let us pre-cook some sets of interesting parameters
Yep.
for people. And so here you can see out of the box, we've got about 5 different ways
Yeah.
of looking at a complex model.
That's right. So you can think of these as views.
Yes.
And we're pretty excited about this. I'm excited about this, of course, in the whole XML front. When you think of really complex data types like AIXM, you can then provide different views. So if a user's only interested in airspaces or runways or ground facilities, things like that, you can give that view. And the idea is to give the user a view so that now the users don't have to actually understand the data model.
Right.
Whereas for many of these complex things, we've said, well, you have to understand your source and destination data model.
Yes.
Now with this technology, we're saying, well, no, you don't have to do that anymore. You just have to understand what you want.
Yes. So if you want like the floor plans, for
Yeah.
example, you pick that, or the building envelope is for a GIS person, that's only the outside.
That's right.
So all
That's
the fine information about urinals and all that stuff is chucked away.
That's right. And like in that spaces one we just did, I'm guessing you would have picked building spaces.
Yes, that was what that one was.
Okay.
And then of course, if someone really is an IFC or Revit expert,
They can say, give it, I want it all.
they want it all, and they can have it all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really
It's cool.
fun that way.
Okay.
All right, so let's go back and see if we stay in real time or not.
I tell you.
Okay, power. Oh,
Okay.
pretty good here.
You're seeing my screen? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Looks fine.
So that's the story on Revit. I think the next slide, oh yeah, just talking about some of these new systems, Don. I know
Yeah.
this is an area of your interest.
Yeah. So we've done a lot of work with big data kind of things. So you see Google BigQuery there, Google Cloud SQL, which is that like what's that underneath?
I think it's MySQL or
MySQL.
MariaDB. They're the same thing.
Yeah.
Hosted by Google Pay per use.
Yeah. And we have Amazon DynamoDB, S3 of course, Redshift, and Amazon RDS, which we've already written a
What
blog.
does RDS stand for?
It stands for Relational Data
Database Services.
Services. Yeah, that's right.
Which
And
means
so,
basically, what does it mean? You pay them, and then
and
what?
they're going to manage a nice fault-tolerant database. You can scale it up or scale it down. You can spread it across availability zones. You can do all sorts of things.
And so, what kinds of databases are available? in that
The
thing?
one we're really excited about was PostGIS.
Okay.
So, and that was announced in late November at their
Right.
big event.
Yep.
And we've tested out with FME, and it works great. And,
So you just push a button, and suddenly it gets faster because they throw more.
if you want to speed it up, you basically just scale a machine up. You can push it across multiple machines. It's fantastic.
Of course, Windows Azure, we did a bunch of work to speed us up
Yeah.
there. And there's actually SQL Server with spatial on RDS too.
That's right. That's right.
So
That's right.
lots of choices for people that want to do spatial things in the cloud.
Yeah.
And I know some of the fans wanted to see the complete list. They wanted to know it all.
They do.
And so by popular demand, this is at least a subset, but a pretty good one of all the brand new formats
That's right.
that
That's right.
and systems that showed up.
Yeah.
We've talked about many of these already. Let's see, any other ones you want to kind of highlight, Don, that
Let's see here. AIXM, we've talked about a little bit, but I'm really excited about that one. And the whole Inspire GML, particularly when it comes to Annex 2 and Annex 3. Seabed ML, we've worked hard on that with our friends.
Yep. I'd like to say all hail Caesar. That's one of my favorites.
That's right. Caesar, that's that one right there.
Yeah, that was many years in the making. Good Canadian company on the other end of the country.
Absolutely.
Where, boy, they're eating lunch right now there.
Yeah, would they be 3 or 4.5 hours?
I think they're fully 4 hours.
They're fully 4 hours.
In fact, I think I'm giving them a call today, a bit later, which is very late for them. So anyway, that's the complete list.
Yeah. And so now on to Transform. Okay, and this is what we've done for forever. And of course, the big news here is Workbench.
Yes.
And with 2014, it is available on Mac and Linux. So you can have Workbench and the Data Inspector, the full desktop suite on those two platforms.
So what we're saying to people is, if you are someone that has a Mac handy and you already have an FME, go ahead and help yourself. You can download it, and if you have a floating license, it just works. If you don't, we'll give you a freebie license for a period of time. So on the information that's on our website about FME 2014, help yourself. We have at least one of our staff that's full-time only using Mac in the Pro Services group. Yeah. And so far, so good.
Yeah, so far, so good. There's a few formats, of course, that won't be there.
Yes.
Because we rely on third-party libraries that just aren't available.
Now, to let folks know, the future on the Mac side is, I think, can you click on that Mac thing? Does it actually do something?
Yes, it does.
Whoop, no, it doesn't. I thought it did, but I think maybe not.
I think if I click here, you got to be careful. You just can't click anywhere.
So there's a quick shot of it on the Mac, and
yeah, it looks a lot like Windows, doesn't it?
It sure does, except the Windows decorations. I just wanted to mention that we're going to be evolving the Mac platform on the FME 2015 beta side. Yeah. So unlike last year where the betas were blacked out for a long period of time, this year, fairly soon, at least for the Mac, you'll be able to get it because we're doing some library swapping underneath, which should allow it to work better with Retina displays and all that sort of stuff. And the Linux side is actually very solid and stable for the UI. And again, if you have some reason where you'd like to try it on Linux for a period of time, we'll be happy to give you licenses. Yeah. But that's a big deal. And the Windows people, we haven't forgotten you. We've put a huge amount of effort into making the experience better for everybody. That's right. And that's right. You'll just get that. So here's a few of our favorite new transformers. Yeah.
And we're going to show the MapNick, and here's some of the output of MapNick. So if I click here.
For those that don't know, MapNick is an open source renderer used by OpenStreetMap and other folks to make gorgeous maps. The Mapbox guys have put a lot of effort into it too. So here's downtown Vancouver. Did the cars get fixed, or are they going the wrong way?
They're going the wrong way on how. So that's pretty dangerous. Pretty soon we're going to see a tow truck there.
Yeah, thankfully there's not much traffic right now on how. And here's what we like to say, the Burrard Inlet here in Vancouver with sort of a hot tub looking feel.
That's right. This is what happens with global warming. It keeps going.
That's right. That's right. But these are just a few of the kinds of things that one can do with MapNick. Yeah. And we'll take a quick peek at a demo of it live in a minute. Don, you've done a lot of experimenting with these WebSockets. What's the deal with that?
That's right. With FME 2014 FME Server, now we ship a WebSocket server. So now you can use WebSockets for high-speed communication between the FME Server core and whatever you're doing. And we have a demo coming up a little bit later. But the idea is we want to be able to give you desktop performance using server technology. Right. So that's really the end goal.
So a desktop-only person would probably not use these. You'd be authoring some kind of flow that interacts with the things on the web. That's right. And then FME just runs and interacts with incredible speed. That's right.
Although we have used it, because it's a full-blown WebSocket server, we have used it between two desktop systems where we're only using the WebSocket server. And we're not
yes, as a communication thing. We're not going to talk much about them today, but I'm a big fan of these database transformers. Tune in a couple weeks. We'll give some demos of those. I'm promising that. You're going to do it, right, Mark? Mark Ireland is going to help me with that deep dive. But the database ones make it easy to do updates and deletes. Yes. And S3, that was your stuff?
Yeah, again, this whole ability of pushing stuff to S3 or getting it back. The nice thing about S3 is the files that you upload there, you can make them web addressable. So if you're doing like raster tile caches and things like that, you can share the HTTP locations of the raster tiles, and then there's no load on your web server.
Don, why don't you go ahead and fire up that MapNick demo.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, so
if we have time at the end, I'm going to run that thing on the Mac.
You're going to run that thing on the Mac. You're
Yeah.
very brave.
I tried it last night.
Okay. Okay.
Not really that
So-
brave.
No.
So
So MapNick, here we go.
that's just the images.
That's just the images. I got excited.
That's
Okay.
just the output.
That's the output here. So here we go, demos and MapNick.
There you go.
Yeah, and I've
So
already
it's-
got it open actually. There it is. You want me to run it again?
Yeah. So just a few things to look at in here, and we're going to be focusing on some of these in a minute. But there's the MapNick thing doing its rasterization. This is looking at okay, there it is. So we just laid down some interesting corridors, basically based on the transit map of Vancouver on top of a raster. So it can blend on top of a raster.
Yeah.
It can do all these fancy halo things and fancy script and so on.
Yeah.
We know we've got early demos that are combining the map text labeler
Yes.
together with this to do a stunning
Yes,
job.
Absolutely.
of
So, using
labeling.
so to be clear, the MapNick is a great rasterizer.
Yes,
That essentially what it does.
it
It
is.
uses raster tiles.
With incredible. So we'll just take a quick peek because we've got a wee bit of time. Go back if you hop back to the workspace.
Yep.
So and I'm just narrating here as it comes back to life.
Yep.
Well, there it is. Okay. So if you hit the dot or the gear, there's no longer a dot. But if you hit that on the
Sorry.
there we go.
Yep.
So you can see, folks at home, all these different things. If you hit edit on one of these things, basically you get at all the parameters that are MapNick. And so open up. It's another thing is this collapsible stuff in our dialog boxes. If you bring up one of those parameters again,
Yep. This
you can,
one's here.
yeah, like that kind of thing, or
Yep.
inside of there, we've built that into all the dialogue so that things you're not likely to need to use, you can hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
But within each of these layers, you can control all these options that the MapNick rasterizer
Yeah.
wants to take. Now, raw MapNick takes XML as its input,
Is that right?
but we thought it might be easier for people to type stuff into these forms than to just, I know for you, you probably authored the XML yourself with a
Absolutely.
text editor. But
Absolutely.
that's
I
how
don't.
that is. So you can
Yeah.
cancel out of this whole thing.
Yeah, and that makes it much more usable because you can imagine in the old days you pop up something and you get the 20 options.
Yes.
Now we hide the ones that you don't, that are optional or have reasonable defaults.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many of these things in this MapNick are like that.
Yeah.
The other good thing about having MapNick in here is it's a very fast workflow to experiment with.
Yeah.
But let's just show, Don, if you were to take the output of the bufferer, just drag a line from the bufferer,
Mm-hmm.
take that,
Mhm.
and drag it down to where it says connect input.
Mm-hmm.
Bloop. There. That's how we add more themes into the
Yeah.
MapNick rasterizer.
Yeah.
You just drag things in, they make more layers basically, then
Yeah.
you go in and style them.
Yeah. Yeah.
While we're looking at this, let's take a look, Don. If you wanted to, let's say, move a link.
So
So
let's say I want to move this one.
pull it all the way down towards the center.
Yeah.
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 There it goes. It's red. If you let's go, it's going to be deleted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
If I go grab the other side.
watch, it shoots out kind of like that Fox hockey puck.
Yeah. it
For
does.
those that are longtime hockey
So you
fans.
can tell exactly. So you don't have to be at the end anymore. You
That's
can be
right.
anywhere. You can be anywhere on
So
whatever
that
side
shadow
of center.
there,
Yeah.
you can watch that shadow dancing around as he moves, and that when you click is where it's going to move.
Yeah.
Basically, so you don't have to go in there and find the actual vertex any longer.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. And one last thing, Don, click on there and type Clipper just for fun.
Okay.
If the thing is selected and we insert a new transformer,
Yeah.
there goes the Clipper. Up comes these little nice dialogues. If you click one of those buttons, and then let's say you want to do the outside one instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead and click it. Yeah.
So yeah. So I can.
You
turn-
can, yeah, if folks at home can see how we can adjust the ports from the auto connect. So
Yeah.
that is an early fan favorite
And
as
you
well.
also have the input too, because really this one should have been clip E.
Yes.
Yeah. So I could have changed that like that.
Yep.
And very nice.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
nice. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one of the key things. Of course,
Yeah.
there's no input ports on many of these things anymore either, folks might
That's
notice.
right. That's right. And that's an example of some coding error.
Yes.
That when we saw it, we say, hey, we like that because in many cases, it was just if they say input, then
It's not adding any value.
not adding any.
So like
value.
the one Don's on there, the bounds extractor,
Yeah.
used to have a port called input. Now we just have the green thing coming right in the side.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
All right, so there's a
Okay.
quick tour of just a few of the desktop highlights. And then
Yep.
here's the complete list of all the
Yeah.
new transformers. We're going to do a whole webinar on Null.
Yes, yes, because that's a big deal for databases. What we've done for FME 2014 is really make FME when it comes to databases and working with nulls much better.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's really
and look at all those point cloud ones.
right, and that's because we moved to having a generic model for our point cloud data. And so that means in the past, we used to think that all point cloud data basically should be able to fit into what LAS, that format was. But there's new formats that aren't very LAS-like. Right. And so we'd spend a lot of effort making stuff look like LAS when we shouldn't have. And so now we don't.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that, aren't we? Coming up.
I
think we are. Yeah. And look at the last at the end there, all the transformers that are related to cloud stuff.
Yeah.
S3, SNS, SQS.
That's all Amazon-y stuff there.
It is, absolutely. And then we have our friends, the WebSocket guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have some cloud-based services. Interestingly, on this ArcGIS Online, those transformers there are only the ones that ship with FME. We've also built some other transformers like the ArcGIS Online Service and Calculator.
Yes.
That is in the FME store. So it's available to all users, but doesn't make the list.
Right. So this is for calculating drive time polygon things.
Yeah.
This is showing the data inspector with a background map, actually.
Yeah.
And so let's take a look at GME too. So ArcGIS Online, we can read it. We're going to be writing it very shortly.
For a service pack. Right?
Yep, that's right. And we can also make use of some of the services there. So
that's right, in the background maps of the data inspector.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm foreshadowing there.
Yes.
But is ArcGIS Online as well.
Exactly. So this is Google Maps Engine, or GME, doing geocoding. And you can just, if you have data that has addresses, in it goes, and it'll be geocoded.
Yeah. Okay. So back we are.
There we go.
Yeah, and this is just showing some of the things that we've talked about. One was the connected input on the right there.
Yeah.
And on the other one was just how easy now it is to move links. Hey, what about that bookmark in the middle? What's that?
Oh yeah, we didn't touch on that.
No.
But you can set colors. You can have hyperlinks. You can even put in tables. You can make things bold, fill with the font. Yeah. This has been a long time ask. And it was something that was possible because a lot of folks don't know, but we've been on a 7-year technology refresh inside of our user interface, and we've reached the holy promised land.
It was a 7-year mission to boldly go.
Yes, and a few nice things fall out of that, and one of them is the fact that these bookmarks are able to be done. We also decorated a lot of the transformers with a little bit of an icon to give you a bit more of a clue. We use the policy that we decorate when there's something going on outside of the workspace.
So I'm really excited about the hyperlinks within the annotations, because now you can put a link to some external reference somewhere. The user just clicks on it, and away they go. And also, this whole new 7 Boldly Go is what is responsible really for giving us the Mac and Linux.
Yes, it was not really what we set out to do, but it fell out of us taking a technology bet that insulated us from platform.
Okay, so other big highlights: Null Support.
Yeah.
So 92% of the users said to use database. So nulls are obviously a big deal.
Yeah. We always did something with nulls, but it wasn't as good as it could have been.
That's right. So now we're going to have a webinar because we have a null reader, null writer. Going from nothing to nothing with using nothing.
Yeah, much ado about nothing.
Much ado about
nothing. Webinar about nothing. We'll use the Seinfeld music. It'll be great.
Instead of a never-ending story, this is I don't know what.
Yes.
Okay, so point clouds. You touched on this. A completely new architecture. Now, it's not built on 8 arbitrary components. It's whatever you want, whatever you have. So that's got to have a performance impact. What's the performance impact on that,
we went to a generic or general model, and I thought we'd pay a price for that.
Yeah.
But the answer is it actually runs faster than it used to.
Well, there you go.
And the reason is that we're not doing all this extra work to convert something into a model and then back out again. We just keep it the way we read it all the way through.
Yeah. So, okay. And the data inspector, of course. Very excited about the data inspector. The background maps gets a lot of play. It's killer. But the other thing, what's the other thing that's really big? Database users, of course, are really
right. The table view. We're going to zoom in here at the end of this little video. Let's take a peek at that. That's a big deal. You can also save data as.
Yes.
And save the selected data
as.
Those are some big deals too.
Yeah. So now into automation, we're going to look at the batching and more in particular FME server. So the first thing is WebSocket. So that's a big deal. enables you to build high-speed data streams in and out of FME server. And we have a little demo here that I'm going to show.
Wow, you're going to go for that?
We're going to go for that. So first of all, let's go here. Okay, I've got it over here. And here's a, this is just some JavaScript that shows how hard it is to connect to the WebSocket server on FME. So you can see I have a server demo-on at safefmecloud.com, and then a wee bit of JavaScript that even somebody like me can write. So it's not that much JavaScript. Okay, so if I look at the workspace here that's doing this, it's very simple. What I've done here is I've just built a workspace that gets appointed as a simple buffer. But the interesting part is right here, where basically I'm just connecting to the same WebSocket server. You can see there's a stream ID, so you can have multiple stream IDs going into or out of each WebSocket. So essentially, a WebSocket where a point comes in to be geocoded. It comes in as JSON. I rip apart the JSON, and whoops, I didn't need to do that. Control Z. Okay, I rip apart the JSON here. In this table, then I simply use our geographic buffer, and then I send it back out. And so what that looks like is I go here and I go up to here, and I'll run the browser. Okay, demos and WebSocket demo web, and here's the HTML page. I run this. Okay, I see a map, and when I click, what happens is that point goes all the way back to the server running in the cloud. So all the servers are running in FME Cloud, and as I click, you see it's instantaneous. The buffer is done.
Yes.
So and there's a number of ways we can do it. In this case, I have a dedicated engine because I'm able to give really high performance. And in some workflows, we have tens of thousands of requests coming in a second, and for that scenario, it's great to have a dedicated engine. I could also use a topic-based approach where every time I click, it would send still using the WebSocket, it would send it, and then an engine would be started to do the work and then shut down. So if you have more periodic requests. So if you look on the server here, okay, so back over here, I think it's here, yeah, so if I Firefox window, if I look on my server here, you'll see under jobs, I've had a job running on this one since December 17th, and that's the one. Yeah, and that's the one just looking after all those WebSocket requests. So it's had thousands of requests, probably tens of thousands of requests by now. It just keeps chugging along. I'm using it just as a test to see how long it'll run, and hopefully Amazon won't slow it down. So that's essentially the WebSockets.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff.
Yeah. The next one is the shared file capability, and we recognized on FME Server that one of the challenges with FME Server in the past was when you publish Workspace, you had to at that point publish the data, and then that meant a big upload. Also, then if you want to change the data, you bring the Workspace down, or if you're within an organization, you had to have a UNC path. Now, when we start thinking about the cloud, this becomes a real problem, because you're pushing all this data up into the cloud. So you either have to use our HTTP capabilities and then have the data somewhere else, but that's a bit awkward. So what we've done now is we've made it really easy to move data up into the cloud. Okay. So let's say I want to move some data here. So I'm going to go over here. Okay, and I'll create a new folder and we'll call it Launch Webinar. Okay. For some reason, go to
likes to ring that bell.
Likes to ring that bell. Okay, so now I've created a directory under there. Okay, so now I can simply say upload, and now what I can do is drag and drop some files, or on Chrome I can drag and drop a directory, and that's all there is to it. The files are uploaded, so now I can see my files there, and now I can use a previously published workspace. Okay, and I can say, okay, I didn't want to do that back. Okay, I want to configure it. And now I can browse these guys. Okay, so data, launch webinar. I can pick a file. Okay, I can also specify that I want my just do it, the good old Nike statement. Okay, so now I can run this. It's just a generic. Generic. And so now what it's going to do, I'm also writing the output data back to that shared space. So I go back to the resources, and now you'll see under data, I have the launch webinar, which was the original data, and the just do it directory. So the directory wasn't there, but by specifying it on the output, we created it and put all the data into the data folder. So now you can imagine chaining. You could chain things together using this directory-based approach.
So basically, we've allowed FME Server to have its own data area that's
right.
shared and able to be used across all the workspaces up there. And this is very helpful for a cloud-based situation where you might be wanting to share some set of data across many different workspaces, and you don't want to have to upload that all the time. It's relatively static data that you can put there. So it's
and we also have backup directory there. So if you back up FME Server in the cloud or FME Server anywhere, it ends up there. So then you could copy it if you wanted to put it somewhere else, or temp directory and things like that. So yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. That really improves the usability of FME. And the last thing, well, not the last thing, but the last thing we'll go into detail here is the whole REST API. And so if I go here, if you go to your FME server and type FME REST, then you're going to see the new REST API. If you're using the old one, don't fear. It's still there, and it's deprecated, but it's still supported. So we're not going to add any new things to it, but if you have workflows that depend on the old REST API, it's still there.
So can you show us how you can kind of wander through that documentation?
So let's say we want to look at list all the repositories. So I can go there, and then we can see these are all the REST calls. And the nice thing is you can actually test them out right here. So if I want to do this one, I'll say try it out, and it's going to say, oh, I need my token. So which isn't surprising. So
the username is just good old Don?
It is good old Don, and there's the token. So I say close, and so now I try it out, and there it is. You can see.
Wow, so you can interactively experiment.
Yeah, exactly. This has been really key for debugging too, because you're using it. You can try it here, and then it shows you everything about the request. So that's pretty exciting as well. So that's the
great
API. Yeah, and other things, we've also built some connections to Zapier. And so there's a little movie here, and in the deep dive we're going to go into more detail about Zapier. But one thing to know about Zapier is it essentially builds connections to many different systems. So if you explore all the different services that are available, it's coming up. Explore services, come on, service directory. Here we go. You can see there's over 250 different cloud-based systems, and we've built an FME one.
So Don, why don't you run that video and take a peek at it?
Sure.
So,
and if you want to try it, please do. It's very, very simple. And by clicking on that link there, you just go on, click on that link, get your free Zapier account, and then you'll be able to use FME as I'm showing here to either trigger a workspace or publish to a topic.
So you've done something, Don's done a demo where we say when there's a new Salesforce
lead. That's right. So I built a connection to Salesforce. So whenever there's a new lead, it publishes to an FME topic, and then what I'm doing with that is I'm taking that data and putting it on a map. So now for the first time within SAFE, as leads are coming in, they're appearing on a map based on the information that the lead user information gave. And if they're in North America, I'm then posting to another topic which goes back to Zapier, which then creates a draft in a Google Doc for our sales folks. Then they can just review it and add some personal bits if they want and click send. So and all that is, again, all about Zapier is all about connectivity, and now we're adding the whole transform thing, and we're pretty excited.
And spatial capabilities.
And spatial capabilities. And there's a blog article coming out. We're going to talk more about this on the deep dive.
Yes.
Okay. And FME Cloud.
Right.
So yeah.
You're going to take a peek in there?
Absolutely.
This is pay-per-use. This is for people that want to use FME Server but don't have the infrastructure themselves.
That's right. And at SAFE, we use this like crazy. This is where all our demos are now running. And I'll log in here. And we've just recently added this whole notion of teams. So now one organization can have a master account, and that can decide who within an organization gets access, all the billings rolled up, and you can have members and administrators and things like that. So we're pretty excited about that. FME Cloud, so I have two. There's a demo one running that's been running an old version of FME since 12.16. That's my WebSocket server, and here's an Inspire one that we've been running for a while. There's a different one running now. But anyway, if I want to launch a new instance, or I can also check. So if I want to see how my demo one's going, you can see here it is here. You can see that there's not much of a server load on it. But you can start to see what's going on with that particular machine. You can see my FME log directory is getting builder.
So really, it's a whole console for managing a farm of FME servers. Now, many people, you might only want to have just one going. Many people would only have one, probably. But they can control how big it is, too.
That's right. And they can change the size, too. So you can make it bigger or smaller, right? So you can resize an instance. So I could basically, now this one I'm running now is small, or starter. So, but I could make it enterprise and just really.
And what do those mean? It has to do with how many cores.
That's right. How big the beefy the machine is and things like that. So you can do that. You can also pause it. So if you pause it, then what that does is it turns off the instance. So you're not paying for the instance. You're still paying for the little bit of storage. But typically what I do at times is, at the end of the day, I just pause them and turn it on. So if you're doing development, what you can do is you can go pay by the hour and simply turn it on for the time.
So is the price a secret, or how do we?
No, the price is definitely not a secret. So if I go here, and good question, and I click on pricing, you'll see there's hourly rate. So the starter one is $1 an hour. So let's say you came in.
That's about what I used to earn, at my first jobs.
Exactly.
Driving a manure truck back in Alberta. It's not a big paying job.
$1 an hour. That's great. And so that's great. You're doing development. You spin it up for a couple hours, use it. It's it's very, very cheap. And then of course if you go production, then you can simply
about $5,000 a year. That's about what my starting wage looks like.
That's right. That's right. And it scales right up to big beefy machines. And we're always doing experiments with all the new machines Amazon brings out to look at how to make these machines underneath faster and faster, which is completely.
So this price includes all the FME you can run on that machine, as well as the machine itself.
That's right. That's right.
And backups and all that good stuff.
Right. And when you launch a machine, you specify. We'll just go quickly here. You specify how many engines you have, right? So let's say we call this launch.
Oh, I see. Because if you know you're going to be doing lots of small jobs, you can have many engines.
That's right.
That even on a machine with few cores, because each of them is not going to run for very long.
That's right.
But on the other hand, if I'm going to grind big rasters, I probably don't want as many engines.
That's right. So a starter has one core, but I'm running with 4 engines. Well, I know I have one engine dedicated for that.
Yeah, that WebSocket.
And it doesn't get a lot of traffic, but when it does, it can really go hard. And then so we can allow up to 4 there. But if you look at enterprise, I dream of having a use for this puppy. You can go up to 48 engines.
48 is pretty good.
That's that's a pretty beefy machine. But we want.
How about on the data storage? What can you do there?
You can go up to half a terabyte.
Okay.
If you want more, you can.
Well, the other thing is, if you just would use Amazon RDS, then that puts your database out of this machine and into a different part of Amazon's infrastructure, and off you go. Or S3 for big data files. We've got some customers storing LiDAR stuff using those S3 transformers out in S3.
Yeah, and then they're web addressable, no load on the server.
Yeah.
And for our Inspire server we're putting up there, we're actually using FME Cloud, but we're using PostGIS and RDS.
Right.
Again, multi-tier architecture. Now we can figure out where the bottleneck is and scale them each differently, and it really, really sings and dances. So
okay, so that's FME Cloud.
Yeah.
It's still considered beta.
Yeah, it is. It'll be beta. There's a few things we want to get done, probably till SP1.
Yeah.
We're hoping, or SP2. But anyway, March-April timeframe, we're gonna take the beta
in time for the world tour.
In time for the world tour.
Okay.
That's right. But you can try it today. And we have many folks who
you get to try for free for a while, don't you?
You get a $250 credit,
which at $1 an hour is
$1 an hour if you manage it.
That's 250 hours.
Yeah, you can go for a while.
That's a lot of driving of truck when I was young.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. That's like a whole summer's wage for you.
That's exactly right. So we're going to go back to one final poll.
Okay.
So we've done a cursory look at all things FME 2014.
We just scratched the surface.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an exciting release, really, for us.
Yeah.
Huge amount of effort. Don and I always feel bad because we can't even do justice to the splash screens.
Yeah. Or the improved clipping. I mean, we did we added.
Oh, the snapping.
The snapping. Yeah, the snapping. We've added tolerance support. Just crazy good stuff there on our algorithm side.
So Mark Ireland will help us to highlight some of those things we do desktop in a bit of time.
Yeah.
And
So there we go. Things seem to have settled down.
Yeah, so let's close that poll
And share
the results. So let's see. A small number of people like the betas.
Yeah, they're living on them already.
Yeah.
What's 20% later this week?
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll look forward to your feedback.
Yeah.
And for those that don't have any plans yet, that's just fine. Keep us in mind.
And just if there's things you use, looks great, no plans, let us know if there's any things that are missing that would really help you make the jump to FME. Because we continue to add things, and things like Revit and things like that, those come out of customer requests, right?
Yes.
We add BIM, and then they say, okay, we need to do Revit, and so.
Actually, we're going to do a whole Revit webinar.
And what else exciting is happening on the BIM front?
Right. After being asked for about 7 or 8 years by very patient Norwegian friends, we're finally doing IFC writing.
And I think the first file is floating around safe from the IFC writer.
It
doesn't have a lot of data in it.
Yes.
But it has everything.
But that's a big deal because that'll let us, folks have wanted to create what they call a slim BIM out of GIS data to put back into as a starting point for the Revit friends. And so that's one thing we're going to be doing. And with IFC, the way we're doing it is the hard part about IFC is not the format. It's building the internal structures. Yeah. And so it's being written by a guy who works on our XML/JSON team. So he's building the internal data model, and initially we're going to go out to the binary IFC, or is it ASCII? It's actually a sort of a funny old Fortran ASCII.
Yeah. But then with the architecture he's building, it'll be then very easy to go out to the IFC XML when people want that. So so I'm pretty excited about that, being an XML guy. Okay, so
let's keep on going.
Keep on going. Oh, some other big things coming?
Yes. So in the follow-up email from this, we'll give you invitations to these 2 webinars that are going to let us dig in more to the details of the desktop changes and the server changes. Yeah. So this gives us a couple weeks to get ready. Boy, the Super Bowl is in the middle of that.
Is that right?
Yes.
So we have the Super Bowl sandwich.
That's right, and that's going to be exciting because for me anyway, I think it could be a Denver-Seattle Super Bowl, and then I'm going to be happy no matter what happens.
That's right.
So that's exciting. Awesome. And then the World Tour, the Super Bowl will be long forgotten, but we are starting in Denver. At least I am.
Well, they could be the home of the world of the Super Bowl champions or the Super Bowl.
We'll either be able to buy cheap Super Bowl memorabilia or expensive stuff.
I think the cheap stuff goes to some foreign country. Somewhere in the world, there's people with Vancouver Canucks Stanley Cup champion hats.
And not in Vancouver.
It's not in Vancouver.
Yes.
And then last but not least, we can't forget the International User Conference, and that actually is a picture of where we're having it. So we're having it at the Convention Center in downtown Vancouver, right on the water. Yeah. A beautiful, beautiful facility.
So it's going to be an amazing chance for FME professionals worldwide to get together and learn from each other and from us. So the World Tour is going to be the same format as always. We're going to go and spend a day with people. I think Don says that's about discovery.
Yes.
So the World Tour is about discover things that are in FME, and the user conference is about exploration. So discovery and exploration, that's our theme for 2014.
That's right. And so if you want to learn FME, free licenses, if you want to try it out, we're very generous with the free licenses while you're learning proof of concept, pilots, just learning FME. Contact us. You can also take the free courses. We don't charge for our courses. They're live and they're hands-on, and also they're instructor-led. So they're not online courses where you're reading stuff. There's actually people there to help.
Actually, we give you an Amazon machine.
We do.
So if you don't really have FME handy, you can go and learn.
Which is really nice, because the reason we give you an Amazon machine, that enables us to do a number of things. One is log on to that machine when you're struggling. Of course, if you do it on your own corporate machine, there's no way you're going to let some yahoos from Canada log on to your corporate machine to help you out. But this is a machine completely outside of your corporate infrastructure, so there's no. It just makes it much an easier experience for everybody. So
Mark Ireland, we could ask Mark Ireland to verify, but I'm sure that February the 18th will be teaching us in FME 2014.
We will be.
Yes,
absolutely.
And we may even do some kind of a session for getting up to speed with 2014 for people coming from 2013, which 67% of these people were.
And all our webinars, tutorials, and demos, and everything, they're recorded. Is this one recorded?
I think this one is recorded.
Awesome.
So, folks, I know at the beginning we had some lagging problems, and I figured out why.
Why is that?
Because we were pounding our connection by uploading various FME packages. I happen to know that was going on this morning.
I see.
At
So
the beginning of our webinar.
So it was internal here.
Yeah.
It wasn't my machine.
No, it was. That's why it's fast now, because
we basically
everything's uploaded. So in the future, maybe we'll
do it before or after.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well that explains that. And of course, lots of information. The FMEpedia community, it's going to be upgraded here very shortly. We've moved to the latest version, so now you're going to have a much better experience on our answers and things like that. And yeah, follow the blog. We're updating the blog a couple times a week, I would say, and lots of good, interesting articles there.
Yes, yes. So we also have some launch-related stuff from today. So there's a fancy movie. This is probably our most elaborate movie ever.
Yeah.
And
so should I click on it?
Well, well, click on the bottom anyway. Okay. This launch page, that was also being uploaded at the beginning as we were going. So try clicking there again. Is it going to go? Oh, it doesn't go.
No, it wants a local host file.
That's kind of unhappy.
Okay,
that link is not good.
Yeah.
But we can always go to a web browser and just type it in.
That's true. We could do. Whoa, we could do that. So
the bell rings.
So it's safe.com. I can remember that. Safe.com.
This is exciting. Looking at our own
2014.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Oh, FME. Okay, it has arrived.
There we go.
And then we can watch the movie.
You could do that.
Yeah.
Whoa, I don't know. This could be risky. Wow.
Okay.
Lots of good drum.
Okay.
Wow. Quick stop it.
Yeah.
Feels like a Battlestar Galactica episode.
It does. It seems dark.
Yeah, but I'm sure it has a happy ending. But anyway, folks can look at.
You gave it away.
Well, that's not a small spoiler.
Yeah, that's right. And you can see all the credits there.
Yeah.
And I think we're question and answer.
All right. So what do we got? We got about
6 minutes.
6 minutes left. Mark, you want to join us with audio? Let's see if Mark is back. Okay, well, he's on.
Yes, I'm still here, if you can hear me.
Yes, that sounds great.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Mark, you were watching the questions as they were pouring in. Any patterns you noticed?
Yeah, a lot of web service ones. Let me see. You just caught me on the hop now, so.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I know that there's someone that's taunting me, saying that I should come to New England and visit the champion Patriots. So I think that's taunting, which is a 15-yard penalty.
Yes, my wife's cousin married a guy from the U.S. military, and at her first party, she made the big mistake of asking where the state of New England was. Which was a big, huge. You can imagine.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Someone says we sound like Duck Dynasty and want to know if you've got very long beards and beautiful wives.
Well, we do have beautiful wives.
We have beautiful wives now. I am follically challenged.
Yeah, a long beard wouldn't. Let's just put it this way: Don and I sat out Movember again this year. We were benched by the team.
That's right.
So someone asked if there's a migration strategy from 2012 to 2014 for server.
Yes, there is. Basically, we can talk about that, but basically you have to download your repositories and things like that. It's not as good as it is now. With FME 2013, it was much better, and with FME 2014, it literally is click a button. So moving forward, you literally click a button, go to your new server, 2014, another 2014 or 2015 or whatever, click another button, and you would be willing to go. But we're certainly here to help you do that. If you haven't customized FME server, then it's much simpler. But anyway, we can help you with that.
Don, if you want to just fire up FME, I've got a couple of questions I'll address there. Jeff Hobbs asked about CartoDB, and so that is a web service built on PostGIS, and so we should be able to work with that. But someone has asked us to just plop down a database updater transformer and show how that works. Okay. So just go grab an empty space.
Database updater.
Sure. And so I don't know if Don has a database handy, but let's just pop up the parameters there. And so the way this works is you have to figure out or connect to a database.
Sure.
We don't really have. Do you know one?
Well, no. It's my it would take us a few minutes to get
but the bottom line is you'd make a database, but then here's the key thing. down in here, you pick the columns in the database that you're going to match to what value.
Yeah.
That connects, that sets up sort of the join basically.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you figure out what columns in the database you're going to update and what the value is going to be.
Yeah.
And the value could be a constant, it could be a function
Yeah.
of some attributes, or it
Yeah.
could be an attribute. That's just this one. The database deleter is an awful lot the same. Only, let's just throw down a database deleter. And we'll look at these more in a couple weeks during that other webinar.
Yeah.
I'll just connect up there. There we go. And in here, it's the same sort of thing. Again, you connect to a database,
Yeah.
but at the bottom, you basically indicate how to do the join. Actually, if you change that condition thing there in the parameters, Don, that one, the condition in the middle there, that,
This guy here?
no, right close
Oh,
by.
there it is.
No,
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
that-
right over
that
there.
one.
Yeah.
If you change it to where clause,
Now you
then
can-
you don't use
Yes.
the bottom thing to
Yes.
match, but instead you could say something like delete everything where the area is less than some value that's floating by.
So arbitrary,
Yeah.
complicated where clause.
So there, Steve's little quick overview of those database things. Let's see. Anything else, Mark, that jumps to your...
Well, one person asked, FME 2014 is easier to use. What makes it easier to use? And I think you've shown a few things there. Anything?
I think that some of the key things are just the whole Canvas experience is more fluid, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to just point out one thing, but when
Certainly
we
the collapsible things is big. At first you might not think that makes it much more usable, but when you open a big dialogue, in the past some of the dialogues have been huge, and for a user, then you have no idea which ones you have to specify and which ones you don't. Now all the ones you don't have to specify generally are there. So there's a good one at the WFS connector, right? Like many of those are collapsed.
it used to be...
it used to go on and on and
Right.
on and on. So you can see, all those things were exposed too. So this is what it used to look like.
yeah, let's go and blow them all out.
And then probably there's some more down even lower.
Yes. So that's one thing. We're trying to reduce the cognitive dissonance so that there isn't so much stuff hitting you, because we've taken the angle with FME to give you options to do almost anything, to make it very powerful, but that does have the other side where we can overwhelm you with options. So we're trying to find the happy medium by hiding things so that only if you want to use them, you go and find them.
And I think you can see even on that screen now, you've got little decorations on some of the transformers to say what they do, and the parameters button changed to a little cogwheel.
And so it's not hitting you in the head as much too.
Yeah.
And when stuff is yellow, the yellow is very subtle. The yellow meant that, hey, I haven't looked at these parameters.
That's right.
And instead of beating you on the head with a stick, we made that a little bit more subtle.
AIXM 5.1. Do we have support for that?
We do. So there's even a reader. So if you go reader, you can say AIXM 5. We call it 5.x, but it's 5.1, 5. Whatever. And there you go. So, and again, we've made a lot of the things collapsed. So if you have an AIXM5 file, and what we're going to do in the future is Dale showed with the Revit side of the whole view concept on the reading of AIXM. That's just another format that just screams to do that, because it's a very, very complex data model, and also on the writing to AIXM5.
Someone has asked if we improved the speed of CSV, and actually that is one that a huge amount of effort went into. I believe that kind of in a vanilla situation, CSV reading is at least twice as fast, maybe even more, compared to the release, compared to a year ago. So some of that rolled out with some of the service packs, and we've got some more tricks up our sleeve we're going to continue to look at. But yes, CSV is one of these files or data types where there is no natural bound on its size. And so we've actually added things like letting you sort the CSV in place before bringing it into FME as well.
It's also all sorted. Yeah, Dale referred once to CSV as being the shapefile of the non-spatial world, and it really is. Most organizations, whenever we're dealing with them and they have non-spatial data, there's almost always some CSV involved in it. And some of these files, as Dale said, some organizations refer to these as Excel files, but when we get them, they're actually just massive CSV files.
I think we should wrap up. I'll just mention one last thing. Brad from Edmonton asked if there's updates to our support site so people can see their service requests and so on. And I can say that we're slowly moving towards being able to get there. So as Don hinted at, the FME community is going to get refreshed in the next little while, and that's the next step in that journey. So Brad, no joy tomorrow, but that is definitely the trajectory, and watch where we're going.
Because we're moving to get more and more of our support online, and then you'd be able to submit things online, but also check on the status of your ticket online, and things like that. So we're pretty excited about that.
So I think we're out of time. So thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in this morning. I know that we're going to start the celebration here at SAFE that we've finished another year journey. Another FME is in the case, so to speak.
And on to FME, the service packs in FME 2015.
Yes, so enjoy it. It's our hope that all these things make your lives easier, make your jobs more productive. Again, reduce the time that you spend fighting with your data so that you can spend more time using it in your organization, so you can wring more value out of it. That's why we do what we do, and we're really proud of what we've created in FME 2014 that will help you achieve those goals.
And thanks all of you for tuning in this morning or this afternoon or whatever time it is. We really appreciate. We know you're all really busy, and we really appreciate you choosing to spend an hour with us. So thank you very much.
All right. So from beautiful Surrey, this is Dale saying "Go Broncos,"
and Don from saying "Go Canucks."
And what do you say, Mark?
Warm up.
He says nothing.
He says, "Go summer, go spring."
I say, go Jets.
Go Jets.
Go Jets.
All right.
Go Jets.
Thanks, everybody.